Masaki escorted Meguri to her hotel in Ochanomizu after sundown. However, he'd been demoted from tour guide to pack mule at some point, weighed down by bags of Western clothes his companion had bought from one department store after the next.
しかしよく買うよな。
だってあっちじゃ最新の流行のは買えないもの。
向こうで来たって見せる相手もいないんじゃないか。
いいのよ、自分が満足できれば。若女将やゆかさんは和服派だから反応もいまいちだしね。
カレンはどうだ。よくあいつと雑誌読んでただろ。
おひなはずっと東京よ。え、知らなかったの？
お
お。ということはあいつひながみ製薬で働いてるのか。
ええ、ここからも近いんだし、会ってみたら？
それは。
He wished to avoid people from his past if he could help it. Megure was a reluctant exception since he'd bumped into her by pure coincidence. He was averse to the idea of approaching anyone that knew who he used to be. See, they keep dancing around who it is, and that's why I can't say for certain. Like, everything points to it should be Rich Boy. But the fact that he's like, oh, I don't want to go see my sister. They won't flat out call Karen his sister, right? In fact, you know, he called her by name, right? If we look at our backlog. Yeah, he referred to her as Karen. If it were Dr. Boy, he would have referred to her as Ohina like Meguri does, right? I believe so. I'm pretty sure Rich Boy was the only one who would have called her by name. Yeah. But I love how, like, even with all these signs pointing to who it should be, they're still dancing around it. They're still dancing around it. They're not giving you any little tidbit that's going to confirm anything. Like, Meguri's not here like, oh, don't you want to go see your sister? Maybe you should go see your sister. They're just intentionally not using that word. They're just like, oh yeah, that's someone from my past who knew who I used to be. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. No deeper relationship than that, eh, Masaki?
ちょっと冷えるから中に入りましょうか。
Meguri marched straight into her hotel. Masaki reluctantly followed suit, hauling her stuff all the way. He dumped the bags in the lobby lounge and slumped onto a sofa.
飲み物もらってくるわね。コーヒーでいい？
ああ。
Meguri headed for the counter. Masaki wasn't keen on sticking around much longer. However, he wanted to swear Meguri to silence on several matters, especially if Karen was in Tokyo.
はい、どうぞ。
Especially if Karen was here. See, that's the one little hint we get, right? Especially if it's Karen. Because if Karen finds out where Masaki is, then that leads us to other places. Meguri served Masaki a cup of coffee when she got back.
ありがとう。
会った時から聞きたかったことがあるんだけど、どうしてあそこからいなくなったの？
Because he found out what his father was involved in, which is why when Mai presented a picture of his father, he got all fucking pissed off, right? Because he found out that his father had some involvement in Satsuki's death. Obviously. That's gotta be it, right? He finds out that his father he's like, I don't want to do shit for this family, fuck this village. He probably finds out his father had something to do with it, and in turn finds out how many higher-ups in the village had a hand in it, right? That question froze Masaki's solid just as he was about to take a sip.
あの時あそこで起こったことは。
起こったことと言われても、急にいなくなったから。
And like, Rich Boy would be the one who would be the most traumatized by that because he was the closest one to Satsuki, clearly. Obviously, everyone would have been traumatized by that event, but Rich Boy would have been the one that's like the most affected by that situation. Meguri cocked her head.
戦争に行ってたのよね。終わってから戻ってきて、またいなくなって。何があったの？
悪いけど、それは話したくない。
Masaki shook his head. He would have preferred she never brought that up again.
そう。
Meguri hung her head.
そろそろ帰る。荷物はボーイに運んでもらってくれ。
Masaki rose to his feet.
ええ、 また会える？
あの事務所に泊まり込んでいるから用があれば来ればいい。ただ探偵に俺のことについては話す。
あくまでMasakiさんなのね。
じゃあまた。
Masaki left Meguri in the hotel behind him. Okay, that's the only thing you swore to. You said you had several things you wanted to swear to secrecy. Secrecy. Like, I know you wanted to get out of there ASAP, right? You wanted to avoid all the uncomfortable conversations and whatnot, but we were like, there's several things I wanted to swear to secrecy, and they're just like, just don't tell the detective my real name, all right? I'm leaving. It's like, I think you forgot a few things there, bud. The radio played in the living room. Yukari was perched on the sofa, staring at it. She'd been this way ever since she'd finished cleaning up after dinner. For some reason, she hadn't felt like doing anything. Before she knew it, it was already past 10 o'clock. Yukari turned off the radio and the living room lights. There was no one else there. Yukari felt a pang of loneliness as she trudged toward her room. Once inside, she spread the futon she'd taken from her brother's empty room onto the floor. Two of them kept all the futons in there since her closet was full of insect cages. Oh, Yukari. Reiji not coming home was nowhere near an uncommon occurrence. Either he was spending the night at his agency, or... Yukari looked out the window. A waning moon peeped out from a gap between the clouds. Though she wasn't sure where, Reiji had to be somewhere beneath it. Of that, she was certain. Snow fell. Yukari backed away from the window. Reiji was likely somewhere with a roof over his head, so she knew she didn't have to worry about him. Yukari turned off the lights and slid into the futon. The house was dead quiet, likely because the insects were finally beginning to hibernate. It was a silent night indeed. Snowflakes cast shadows on the paper sliding doors. It must have been 2 years since she had disappeared. Reiji had agonized over it all on his own. Not that he'd ever let that slip, on the surface anyway. However, it did make Yukari wonder. Is he off somewhere, licking his wounds on nights like these? Yukari knew she probably couldn't do that for him, so all she could do in such times was count on Kyoko. Hell yeah. Though to be honest, it did make her a bit sad that she wasn't any help to him. Yukari closed her eyes. The comfortable warmth of the futon quickly dragged her off to his sleep's embrace. Aww. Poor Yukari. It was already past 11, according to the cafe's clock.
帰らなくていいの？
Kyoko called out to me. I downed my umpteenth glass of whiskey and nodded, my breath reeking of alcohol. Ultimately, I'd failed to locate Masaki. I'll be well if he returned to the office tomorrow, but I'd probably need Yaginuma's help if he didn't. However, that was a problem for another day. Literally.
Kyoko.
I gestured to Kyoko as she started cleaning the counter.
何？
I hooked my arm around her waist and drew her in.
ちょっと、時坂くん。
いいだろ
I whispered directly into her ear.
飲みすぎよ。
う。飲みたい気分だったんだよ。
Thus I embraced Kyoko and kissed her lips. Whoa! Oh, damn, okay. Wow, we just jumping right into it, huh? Damn, y'all... Okay. Okay. Listen, I know I said I locked into visiting Moonworld specifically for moments like these, but, damn, I didn't expect to be like, damn, I couldn't find Masaki. Get me a drink. Get me another drink. Get me you. It's like, whoa, alright. I feel like things escalated quite quickly here. I felt like they built up pretty nicely in the first game, leading to some moments with Kyoko, but this was just like, nah, here you go. Alright. Alright. Kyoko turned her head to face me and darted out her tongue. Her breath was like fire against my skin.
お酒臭いわよ。
I kissed her again, silencing her complaints. Kyoko and I swapped spit, our tongues entwining. I lightly jiggled Kyoko's breasts. She shivered. Her breasts were still supple through her clothes. I played with her breasts and kissed her harder than ever before. Kyoko's body was growing warmer and warmer.
やっぱりお酒臭いわよ。私も酔っちゃいそう。
酔わせるつもりだよ。
We kissed again, and I licked the inside of her mouth. Kyoko puckered her lips and sucked on my tongue. Our bodies were practically glued together. Nah, I'm perfectly flaccid in a situation like this, bitch, of course. Kyoko touched my crotch. No, you. I lightly poked her nipple. What, are we having a who can get more erect competition here? Alright. That was a semi-sweet moment. Uh-oh. Go figure. Go figure. We get a semi-sweet moment with Kyoko, and then murder time. Is it gonna be Megari? Is it gonna be Megari? Has she been sighted in next? And guess who was last seen with Megari? No? Yeah, is that who it's gonna be? Time was running out. She had to be brought back as soon as possible. Then, and only then, would her training begin. But will she make it? Is there enough time left? He knew exactly where she was, along with what she was doing. Thus the first step was meeting her. She'd see the light so long as he could explain his perspective to her, for she was essential to them. Oh, I thought that was going to be a much worse scene. Okay. Let me look back through the log again just to see. Okay. She had to be brought back as soon as possible. Then her training would begin. My question is it related to the people from the village, or is it related to the people from the Blessed Congregation? Because I'm wondering if maybe they're after the original Satsuki, perhaps? Maybe it could be in relation to Megari in terms of training. She had to be brought back. Maybe Karen. I'm not entirely sure. We don't know who this she is. We don't know. Yukari scanned the living room. Her brother was sitting on the sofa, massaging his forehead and grimacing like he'd just bitten into a lemon. Yukari set stomach medicine in a glass of water before Reiji. She failed to hide the bite in her voice. Reiji had come home in the middle of the night. In fact, he'd walked home, made it clear as day where he'd been. To say nothing of the reek of alcohol on him. Yukari knew she had no place telling her brother how to live his life. That was what made the whole thing all the more frustrating for her. Reiji nodded after taking the medicine. Yukari had a hint of mischief in her voice. Reiji's eyes shifted into detective mode. Yukari scooped up her school bag and coat before getting to her feet. Yukari departed for school, a wave of relief washing over her that the brother she knew and loved had returned. Yeah. Took the train over to my office. It was time for the moment of truth. See if that nitwit Masaki had bothered coming back.
No.
Nitwit in question rose from the sofa as soon as he saw me. Wasn't interested in an apology, so I interrupted him and got straight to brass tacks.
はい、わかりました。
Neither Masaki or Form took a seat. I didn't yell at him because it would have been too much of a pain, or rather so I didn't make my hangover any worse than it already was. Not that it mattered, really. My scowl seemed to have set that nitwit straight. Though honestly, I was still pissed I'd run all around the city for nothing.
できました。
Took the form from Masaki. Client name, Megure Takamiya. Job, locating someone. Name of missing persons, Naori Kuroya. Naori, that was Dr. Boy, right? But she said she came to Tokyo looking for him. So is he Dr. Boy? So is he actually Dr. Boy? And that's why he didn't refer to Karen as his sister, because he's actually Dr. Boy. Formatted by saying the client had come from Toyama, was currently staying at a hotel in Ochanomizu.
見つけ出す当てはあるのか。対象の写真や勤め先のような資料はないようだが。
Because if it were a rich boy, he would have been a Hinagami, right? This is a Kuroya. Yeah, that's Doctor. So okay. See, I knew there was a reason. I knew there was a reason, because if it would have been Rich Boy, he would have had a much more like shocked reaction to Karen being there. He'd be like, "Oh shit, my sister's here." Unless Rich Boy is trying to throw us off the trail, right? But that's the thing I was saying though. She said that Nanako is keeping track of him, which would make sense for Dr. Boy, right? Regardless of my whole Mayu Mother theory, that's clearly not the case. The one Nanako would have been keeping track of that would have made sense would have been Dr. Boy, Naori. Now that I actually see his name and remember it, Naori. She came looking for Naori. But it could be Rich Boy trying to throw him off the case, right? Like, oh, he came looking for a Naori. I don't know who that is, honestly. Maybe you'll find him up in a village somewhere. I don't know. So was it Naori then? Which is what I thought from the jump. I thought it was Dr. Boy, but the fact that he was an artist is what kept throwing me off. Because we know Dr. Boy, Naori. I keep calling him Dr. Boy, even though now that I've actually seen his name. But we know Naori wasn't an artist. He was a writer, but wasn't an artist. Interesting.
ええ。ですが、なんとかなると思います。
You can see it. Because that's the thing. When we first were introduced to Naori, I'm like, I thought it could be Masaki. I thought Naori could be Masaki. But then we were introduced to Rich Boy, who had a much more striking resemblance to Masaki. But now looking back on it, okay, hold up. Here's the glory of being me. All right. First and foremost, I have to set this to window real quick. I could just go to my fucking previous recordings. I can just pull up the footage, baby. Easy money. I can pull up the footage, and all I have to do is just scroll through until we see something involving the boys. Okay. Now that we have this, I mean, the hair color. Well, I'm looking at this from two different monitors, so it's hard to like really know for sure. It's the eye color I was primarily focused on, because you see Masaki got them pretty gray eyes. Naori has the gray eyes going on. Very similar, like. The ears. Yeah, and that's not just the way the artist draws the ears either. Those ears actually look pretty, pardon the pun, but eerily similar. Very similar jawline, because this still I have pulled up right now has Naori at like a side angle. I think a lot of his things are in like a side angle. That's the thing, Naori always wore that hairband, right? Kept his bangs out of his face, so we don't know what he looks like with his bangs down like this, right? That's the thing, there's still this very straight, long hair. Not long, but yeah. The very straight hair, very smooth. That all checks out. Now that all checks out. Let me see if I can find a still of Rich Boy real quick. Okay, I might be onto something. Okay, but Rich Boy, of course I pulled up a still that doesn't have his name on it. Rich Boy also has the gray eyes. Both Naori and Rich Boy have the gray eyes. However, we don't really get, most of Rich Boy's sprites are done at like, from like a, fucking, what's the word I'm looking for? Face, frontal, what? I don't know. From directly, his head's not turned at all. That's the fucking way I'm trying to say it. There's a fucking word for it, but I can't remember it. He's facing forward. His head's not turned to the side at all, so it's hard to like judge like appearance there. But the thing is, he has the gray eyes as well. But I can't really judge the rest of I can't really judge the rest of it. That is a thing though. We know that Masaki has facial hair. He grows a little facial hair too, right? Now that I see one with Yuzuru, Naori's dad, he's got the little stubble going on. He has the chin stubble, just the chin stubble, similar to what Masaki has here. And we know that the granddad, So, also had some facial hair going on. But we know that, and honestly, right? When Mayu said that adult Masaki looked similar to the person in the photograph, right? If it was his father, we know that modern day Masaki, just comparing the two now, looks very similar to Naori's father than he does to Rich Boy's father. Like, he looks very spot on to Naori's father. Very spot on. Like, especially with the chin stubble, it's very, very close. Whereas he doesn't really look like Rich Boy's father at all. So if that is his father, I think it's definitely Dr. Boy. Definitely Naori. And I think the poses are so similar, these side poses. Like this angle we have of Masaki right now is almost on par with all of Naori's sprites. Then we have the addition that Megari added that Nanako had been keeping tabs on him, which would make sense for Dr. Boy. We have the bit from Mayu that she has the picture of the grown man who looks very similar to Masaki, which modern day Masaki compared to either of the fathers is definitely closer to Naori's father. And honestly, just like the stance he holds himself in, like right hand down by his side, left hand in his pocket, that's like the exact same stance that Naori is. We always see Naori in. That is like always the same stance. Whereas we never see Rich Boy in that stance. I've been scrolling through this recording and I still have not seen Rich Boy's name mentioned. Ayato, there it is. God, that took me fucking ages. Ayato. Rich Boy is Ayato. There we go. God damn. I had to scroll through like 2 hours of footage to see Ayato. Okay. But yeah, I think it's, at this point, it's all but confirmed it's Dr. Boy, right? All but confirmed it's Dr. Boy. So now the question is, what happened to Ayato? What happened to Ayato? That's the thing, for what? I didn't, there's a reason why I didn't immediately jump on Ayato being Masaki. I always kind of kept it in the back of my mind, because Naori just felt like it made more sense. There's still the thing of like, why were you doing art? You were never an artist. There was a thing of, nah, I feel like it's gotta be Naori. Because I was thinking, maybe this person does have a picture of Yuzuru, Naori's dad, but this still could be Ayato, who grew up to look similar, because technically that's his uncle, right? You know, he and Naori were cousins. Yuzuru would be his uncle, and he could still have a strong disdain for his uncle if he found out what had happened, right? So honestly, I think even at this point, we can't be for sure until he himself admits it, right? But like this whole time, I really want to believe it's Naori. I feel like so many things just make sense if it's Naori. But even though he wrote down the name she was looking for as Naori, there's no denying that he could have falsified that. Because he's trying to cover up his tracks. Why would he put down his actual name, right? He's like, oh, she came looking for Naori. And for all I know, this could actually be Ayato. And he just put down some other name, maybe because he knows what happened to Naori, potentially. I do believe this is Naori, but I'm just saying, if we want to explore some other possibilities, that could also be the case. This could be Ayato, who knows something has happened to Naori, right? And is trying to cover up that fact. Well, not trying to cover up that fact, but knows that Naori essentially cannot be found. He knows Naori's in a situation where he cannot be found. So, he writes down Naori's name. That way, if Reiji actually tries to look for Naori, he's not going to find Masaki. He's not going to find anything. He might find his way back to the village, but he won't find out who. But he won't find his way to Ayato, if he is Ayato. I am still in the camp that he's Naori. But I'm just saying, let's not put all our eggs in one basket. Strange. Where did that optimism stem from? Whatever you say.
いいけどな。
Oh, right.
依頼人に惚れたり余計に入れ込むようなこと
I've
が
been
なけれ
talking
ば
for so long, I forgot there were other voices. Well, damn. That may be the most hypocritical thing I've said in my entire life. I didn't even think about it. It's just a good thing you didn't fall for the client or take this case too seriously. Reiji just told himself to get fucked. That's hilarious.
お前に任せてもいいか。
いいんですか？
危険もないだろうし試験にもなるだろう。依頼人から日当を受け取るわけにもいかなくなるが成功報酬にすればいいだろう。
If you're gonna pull it off, then I'd just take over the case. Simple as that.
じゃあ自分は早速。
And that's the thing. I feel like they did this on purpose. I feel like they did this on purpose, especially after I just looked over the footage. His side profile looks very similar to Naori's side profile, but when he looks straight forward, when he just has that straight on look, it looks very similar to Ayato sprites. I feel like that they did that fucking on purpose, meant to keep you guessing as to who this actually is. You know it's one of the boys. Like, obviously you know it's one of the boys. Who else would it be, right? Obviously it's one of the boys, and there were only the two boys. There were three? Well, I guess you include Satsuki, there were 4 girls, but only 2 boys. Only 2 boys. And you know it's gotta be one of them. But you keep looking back and forth. It's like, God, it could be this one, could be that one, could be this one, could be that one.
いや待て、お前を連れて行くところがある。
I stopped the nitwit right as he was about to leave. Oh, we're gonna go see Natsume? Yeah, that's right, we're supposed to go talk to... That's what Yukari told us, right? We're supposed to go see Natsume as soon as possible. He's like, I gotta go introduce you to Natsume. Just because I'd said he could have the case doesn't mean didn't mean I was planning on giving him free reign.
どこに行くんですか？
普通じゃちょっとお目にかかれないものがあるところだよ。
Yep. The nitwit and I swung by Takadana Baba.
ここは
見た目はな、実際のところ一度入った患者は生きて出られないという恐ろしい場所だ。
You're silly. Hey, I wasn't lying. Never in my life had I seen any living patient set foot in that place.
物騒な物言いですな、時坂。
Turn around to find Natsume glaring at me, exasperation evident in her eyes.
こない朝早うから混んでもええですやろに。
寝てましたか？
ひとっ風呂浴びてきたところです。ほらほら、玉のお肌がピッチピチですやろ。
往来で脱がないでください。
I stopped Natsume just as she grabbed at her collar.
おや、この方はどちらさんですか？
Natsume curiously studied Masaki.
時坂さんの下でお世話になっているMasakiと言います。
時坂藩の下のお世話どす。
Whoa, easy, Natsume. I'll just pretend I didn't hear that.
で、夏目さん、写真ができたと聞いているんですが。
ああ、せやせや、ちょいと見てておくなまし。
Natsume stepped into the clinic.
変わった方ですね。
I was just about to say that too. You haven't seen anything yet, believe me. We found Natsume in the operating room, presenting us with a basket full of boiled eggs.
ちょいと伊豆の方に行ってましたさかい。お土産だす。
俺にこのゆで卵を出すのはさすがにデリカシーに欠けると思いますけどね。
Besides, black eggs were supposed to be a Hakone thing, not Izu.
そない弱い人やおへんやろ。
まあそうですけどね。
Masaki was just staring blankly, completely locked out of the conversation. I wasn't going to show him the door in. The information was on a need-to-know basis. Instead, I handed him the
伊豆
eggs.
ということは天城山ですか？
I heard there had been a double suicide or something there just a few days prior.
ちょいと面倒なことになりそうなんで、うちは見てるだけでしたけどな。
Natsume peeled a black egg.
そっちはどうでもええんよ。
She picked an envelope off her desk.
今回は総天然色です。
Oh boy.
そのようですね。
Peeked in the envelope before handing it off to Masaki.
見てみろよ。
Masaki took the envelope without the slightest suspicion before pulling out the photos. Masaki spat out the egg he'd been eating.
開くならそっちの流しにしてくれ。
That was a natural reaction to seeing an autopsy photo for the very first time. That said, though, it wasn't quite what I'd been expecting from him. If he were the culprit, he still probably would have reacted to them, sure. Not like that. This has been way too normal.
時坂藩もえぐいことしますな。
Natsume shook her head as she watched Masaki puking his guts out into the
う
sink.
ちで働く以上、こういったものを目にする機会も多くなると思いましたね。
そこまでのは見たことはありませんよ。
Masaki grumbled as he wiped his mouth.
そりゃ、お腹の中身まで開けっぴろげになっとうのは、
何なんですか？
糸瀬水木藩の解剖写真ですね。
Natsume answered in my stead.
糸瀬。
2件目の被害者だ。1件目はお前も知ってる上園真由だ。
神様さん。
Masaki grew visibly crestfallen with each passing
お
second.
そらく聞いているとは思うが、彼女たちは腹の中に妙な土くれを詰められて殺されていた。
Yeah, you would know about the curse, wouldn't you? You would. Because that happened... Yeah, that happened while all the boys were there. That happened the night of the big ritual. And then, like, that's when the detective showed up, and then a few days later, they found Satsuki's body. Right. So yeah, you would have known about the curse.
どうしてそんなことを？
それはまだわからない。目下調査中。
前にも似たような事件がありましたけどな。
Lets me play with the black egg in the palm of her
そ
hand.
れとは無関係でしょうね。
その後ろにおったお医者さんは
それもないと思います。可能性があるとするならば、最初の犯人と同様に。
I stared at
何
Masaki.
ですか？
いや、なんでもない。
You could keep suspecting this guy. I've never been through that song and dance more times than I could count over the last 2 weeks alone.
あとは仏派が入信しとった典型会関係ですよ。
そうですね。なあ、まさき。上園さんが何か宗教にハマっていたという話を聞いたことはないか？
I figured this was as good a time as any to ask him.
自分は聞いたことがありませんね。そこまで仲が良かったわけでもないで。
Masaki answered obediently.
まさか時坂さんが知らないはずもないと思いますが、自分を雇ったのだって。
Oh, what do you know? Saw right through me. At least he wouldn't prove useless if he had enough brains to figure that out.
そこまで分かっているのだったら話は早い。上園真由が殺された理由、何か心当たりはないか？
あったら真っ先に言ってますよ。状況だけを考えると自分が一番疑われるのは分かりきっていますから。
しかしお前はやっていない。
ええ、誰かがそう証明してくれたそうですね。
Masaki's tone implied he had a good idea who his mystery savior was. So I had to put my faith in that man, myself, for the time being. Still, none of this ruled out the possibility that Mayuka Mizono had ties to the Blessed Congregation.
夏目さん、八木沼のところに典型会の資料は集まってきてますか？
うちに聞いたかでわかりまへんわ。そっちは関わってないさ
Hell if
か
I know. Natsume shrugged and brought over a tray hosting a Claude, one of the clay dolls recovered from the victims' abdomens.
なあ兄さん、これ何に見えます？
何ですか？
Muskie stared at the bloodstained Claude in disgust. His face betrayed no signs of nervous sweat or anything.
いや、人です。
胎児を模したお人形さんちゃうか？
胎児。じゃあこれが腹の中に入れられていたという。
まあ、そうなる。
Masaki seemed perplexed and unsettled. Perfectly normal reaction. He was just acting, then he could have won an Oscar for that.
ろくなやつじゃないと思うだろう。
そうですね。
Kept a close eye on Masaki's face. He was gritting his teeth, likely in an attempt to cool his rage. Thus, I decided to believe that he too wished to see this case closed as soon as possible. Masaki and I left the Takusho clinic and made our way back to the office.
Oh.
Masaki suddenly stopped short when it came into view.
どうした？
Followed his eyes over to a woman standing in front of the agency.
依頼人です。
Aha. So that's Meguri Takamiya. She came over when she noticed us. No, Masaki.
どうも。
Meguri bowed after an awkward
依頼
pause.
人の高宮さんですね。本日は何のご用件でいらしたのですか？
ああ、
Eh?
その
Business? Huh? What? Meguri's eyes swiveled toward Masaki.
改めてお話に来られたんですよね。
ええ、そうです。
そうですか。どうぞ中へ。
Though I sensed there was something between them, I pretended not to notice.
まさきくん、君はお茶を入れてきてくれ。
わかりました。
I sent Masaki away to the kitchenette once Meguri had taken a seat on the sofa. Then I shot a glance at Meguri and confirmed she was indeed keeping her eyes on Masaki. Oh man. They sure hit it off hard after just one day. Swiped the form Masaki had filled out this morning off the desk before taking the other sofa.
人探しのご依頼をなさったので。
ええ、そうなのですが、それはもういいんです。
いいとは。探さなくてもいいということですか？
ええ、
Flipped through my documents. Naori Kuroya. Sure, I found him, that means. Masaki still hadn't returned from the kitchenette. That was likely because the water was probably taking forever to boil, given the shit gas output in the building. I think it might be clogged too. Not important right now. I'll just ask her all I can before he gets back.
高宮さんは富山からいらしたのですよね。東京は初めてですか？
はい。すごく人が多くて驚きました。
そこから出てくるのは大変でしたでしょう。
出てきたのは一人です。でも東京には友人もいますから。
なるほど。ではこの探していた黒谷さんも故郷の人なんですか？
I skimmed the form.
ええ、大 学を出てお医者になられているそうです。
So hard to tell if she was talking about Masaki or someone else entirely.
それでですね。
あ、報酬のことでしたら必要ありませんよ。
Wrapped up the conversation once I saw Masaki returning.
あ、そうですか。
どうぞ。
Masaki set teacups on the table.
まさきくん、あとは任せたよ。
Got up and tapped him on the shoulder.
どうすればいいんですか？
依頼は終了したそうだから、どうするもこうするもないだろう。送るなりなんなりしてやれよ。
Masaki nodded bemusedly and took a seat on the sofa. Sat at my desk and discreetly spied on them. Neither said so much as a word, they simply drank their tea in silence. Probably felt uncomfortable since I was around. Still, a doctor, huh? Studied Masaki's face. Sure didn't look the type. And yeah, that's the thing. If he was medically trained, which we don't know if he was, though. We know he studied. But we don't know for sure. Like, that's the thing. She could have. I keep thinking there's a chance that he wrote the name that isn't his on the document, and then told her about it and told her to stick to the story, right? It's possible. It's possible. It's very possible it could still be Ayato. Very possible. He sure didn't look the type. If anything, he seemed more like the patient that he was. That's the thing I was gonna say though. Is like if he had studied medical stuff, if he had tried to, slit his wrists, obviously if he had some kind of medical training, he would know like where the worst place to do that would be, where your ideal spot would be to do that. I guess he wouldn't really know like how much pressure he's supposed to use. I think that was his problem. Like he was cutting away and he's like, God damn, it's not going deep enough, son of a bitch. That could be the case. That's the thing, I still just don't know for sure. Because they managed to fucking merge Naori and Ayato into like the perfect fucking fusion to make Masaki, so you don't know which fucking one it is. Pisses me off. Plus, he hadn't exactly made a very doctorly impression during his hospital stay. In other words, he's probably someone else entirely. Was this woman really searching for a Dr. Naori Kuroya? Or had she made the whole doctor part up? See, that's the thing. Is it made up? Is it just what the story they agreed to stick to?
彼女を送ってきます。
Masaki spoke
Well.
up.
とっとと戻ってこいよ。
分かってます。
Masaki nodded and left the office with Megari in tow. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see you back here.